Hey everyone, it's Teepa. And so this morning we're going to talk a little bit about a challenging situation. And we have quite a few when it comes to living in the world of dementia. This particular one has come up a few times lately in a number of sort of variations. But what's happening is the person that is living with dementia is with someone, not their spouse, not their regular person, and says something like, I need to get back home. I need to get to where my wife is or where my husband is. I need to go now. I need to get a I need to get to my car. I need to get going. I need to go on. They're by themselves and I need to go there. Okay. So I'm going to pause. Or my wife is missing. I need to go find her. I think she's at home. I need to go home. Pause. Now, we know that we have lots of pieces to the puzzle. So, one of the first questions, if I can find out, I want to know when I'm walking into the situation is what form of dementia are we experiencing? If it's Lewy body, then my first question is the wife actually here? And maybe it was difficult for the person to make the transition here. And so there was disagreement and distress. And so the brain of the individual has confabulated, and it's a confabulation, made up a story, that the person that brought me is not my wife. My wife is at home because my wife is nice. And this person was sort of rough or mean or demanded that I come. And that's not exactly what happened, but that's how their brain is processing. I'm in an unfamiliar place with what seem to be unfamiliar people doing unfamiliar things. So I want to go home. And I think my wife is there. And so that gives me a reason to not be here. That makes sense. And it would make sense to anybody that if your wife was at home and you got here, but when you like explore it, it's really the problem is that there was a feeling of distress that has been building in the transition from home to wherever you are. And in fact, the wife might be in a meeting, might be sitting beside the person, might be there. And if you try with Lewy body, if you try to introduce the person again, no, that's not my wife. She says she is, but I need you to call the police. And then you know, boy, well, that is getting worse because the more I try to help him appreciate that is his wife, the less likely I am to make a relationship work that helps him get to a place of comfort. So in that case, my strategy is typically so your wife and your is at home and you're needing to get there and you're looking for your car. Yeah. So it sounds like something's happened that has got you here and her there, and you're really not okay with that. Tell me more, sort of you were at home with her and you left, or how did that happen? So I might stay curious to find out what their brain thinks because in Lewy body, the challenge is the person can be logically illogical. So I have to be careful that the thinking is still trying to happen, but it's in a weird, odd way. And so that's often called delusional thinking. I'm off target. And because the person is committed to that, when they look at the person that might be their spouse or they go and see that person, that's not the right person because they're in the wrong place at the wrong time. Or they don't like them right now because they didn't do the thing they said they wanted them to do, which was open the door on the interstate and let them get out and walk home. If that, so, and it can be really hard in those moments. But if you form a partnership with the spouse and you say, okay, tell you what, let's go out and let's see if we can find your car. So I'm not the wife. I'm going to go out with him and see if I can find the car. And we can't seem to locate it. Well, tell you what, let's go back inside and see if we can figure this out. By then, because I'm being supportive, it is possible the person will say, there you are, where have you been? When they see their spouse. Because the ability that the brain has to I'm looking, and when I'm looking for my car, the picture and the image I have in my brain is a car. And so when I go back to the spouse, oh, there she is. And if she's, sitting with a cup of coffee or something, and he says, well, where have you been? The important thing is that we're tuned in. It's like, you were looking for me and I wasn't where you thought I was. I am so sorry. I thought I said something. Maybe I didn't. And it's going with the flow, not trying to correct the flow, not trying to fix the flow, not trying to get the person out of a delusional state. If they can come out of the delusional state, it will happen. But all what I can do is support and get rid of discomfort. And the way to do that is to figure out what I can do to validate, to, to do a reflection so that there's a better chance that we can come to a place of agreement. But I've got to travel with them. It's always safer for me to be with them than for them to be alone or for them to be trying to get away from me or trying to call the police. Um, and if the person is prone to doing that, then I want to get better at having a preset. My husband is, living with Lewy body dementia. Frequently, he's having delusional thinking. It often involves me and what he thinks I've done. Um, is there a way that we can have that recorded within our information so that people know that? And you're welcome to come out, but I hate wasting you as a resource. And yet I can't always get him to not call you because he feels it is an emergency. For more information, you can get up with positive approach to care. You could get up with, and you could give your physician's office. I mean, it's the kind of thing where we're building community. Now, if the person has Alzheimer's and this is happening, I'm even more curious what might be going on underneath there. Could there be pain? Could there be discomfort? Could there be a new change in ability state? Could it feel like I'm being abandoned? Or is there an emotional under need that's not being met? Did we talk about going on a trip and did I misremember? Or is this bringing up old things, but I think they're new things because it's a different dementia? And so, depending on what's happening, I want to remember my place, person, props, programming, and then these other possibilities. The hardest thing is not to get into your own state of distress, but rather acknowledge the level of distress using tone of voice, using face, using gestures to recognize it and to acknowledge it. And then to say, well, tell you what, let's see what we can figure out to see if I can bring you back into a space where you start thinking and stop so much of the, I can't breathe, I don't know what to do. And that might even include, oh, wow, that's not okay. Now, hopefully you can tell from how I am right now, I didn't really need the, but I did the wow so that the other person could hear that I got the level of ooh, and I hear them. I mean, I appreciate them. And now we're going to see what we can do. And I may need to break that into two different pieces if the person has greater involvement. All right, for today, that's the message. If you have further questions, you could use some more help. There is a resource that we have called Accepting the Challenge, which takes you through building blocks to figure out how do I get to deal with a challenging situation. And it actually means you're going to have to build some awareness, knowledge, and skill. To find out more, talk with us, call us, or, think about accessing Accepting the Challenge. Till next time, take care with your care and take care of yourself. It matters. Thanks all.